have the great privilege and honor of being joined by our dear sister, Alexis McGill Johnson, who of course is the president of Planned Parenthood America, and she's greeting these wonderful gentlemen too. No, you're good. Don't run, you're fine. You're like, come on down, it's giving Prices Right. You look beautiful, Alexis.
Yes, as always. Beautiful. Hi, gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much.
So excited to be. It's obviously a very busy year when it comes to repro justice. And so I know Miss Alexis McGill Johnson has been running, crisscrossing the country, standing on the front lines on behalf of women, but honestly, everybody. It's not an issue that just impacts women. It impacts all of us. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here with family. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis. So we were just mentioning, Andrew, I'm sorry. I can hardly hear you. I meant to say that a long time ago. When he turns sideways, yeah.
But y'all can hear Andrew.
Maybe I'll look this way too. Is that better when I do this? Is that better?
I hear you fine.
Okay. Well, Andrew, hopefully you can hear me and you're not struggling as much as I'm struggling to hear you. But I was gonna say, Alexis, we've been talking about the fact that there really are 51 days left. What marching orders do you have for the folks at home watching, for us sitting at this desk with you as we welcome our listeners and our audience home? What should we be focused on in this final stretch?
So I want people to be focused not on polls, not on time, not on even the 50 days. I want them to be focused on every single conversation they're going to have from now until November 5th. I want them to make sure that everyone they know is registered to vote. I want them to understand that freedom is on the ballot. I want them to understand if they don't vote now, they may not get to vote again. That has to be the single most important message, because our bodies are on the ballot, our freedoms are on the ballot, and everywhere I turn, I have to say, the energy has turned up, right? It's turned up in a way, I don't know that we felt this in a minute, right? Yeah. In a minute. And we've been doing this game, all four of us, right? Because I've known all of you all and all your different iterations of organizing, including mine. I don't know that I felt the kind of multi-generational, the multiracial, the feminist democracy building, the realignment that's happening that we actually are in charge of. Mm-hmm. And I want people to understand that this is our time to do that now.
It almost would have felt draconian to hear the comments around, if you don't vote this time, you may never have the opportunity to do it again. And then you sit for a moment and realize the Republicans and what shenanigans they've been involved in since they got power. Can't lead, but since they got power. And you realize with the Supreme Court declaring a king again, that anything is possible. And I just wonder, as you make your rounds around the states, are there particular places, I know the country's on fire, but are there particular places that raise significant alarm bells as it relates to bodily autonomy, as it relates to, frankly, people of color finding themselves on the margin of real health crises personally for not being able to have access to making their own reproductive health decisions?
Well, look, absolutely. Look, we are living in a world right now where 22 states have put bans on our bodies, right? Where they have eliminated, restricted access to abortion in those states. That affects 43% of all women. It affects more than half of all black women. So we have to be clear that when I say our bodies are on the ballot, they're literally on the ballot across the country. And while we can look at the maps and say, this is the presidential, this is what you need to do for the Senate, this is what you need to do for the House, like literally all across the country, our bodies are on the ballot. But part of what I'm saying is, like, I think about what's happening in Florida right now. Just last week, or this week, I can't remember, this week, Governor DeSantis, there's a really critical ballot initiative in Florida. Florida is one of the most important states in the South for reproductive freedom. Florida has enacted a 6-week ban before many people even know that they are pregnant. And so Floridians, to protect reproductive freedom, have put a ballot initiative on in order to protect their, to get a constitutional right. Governor DeSantis decided he was going to get his election police. I didn't even know that was a division.
Yeah, they started with black folks going to their doorstep, arresting them,
Yep, and election police to go and all of the good people who signed a petition, finding out where they are, they're looking at their address, going up to their doors and knock, knock, knock.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Hello, Angela Rye, did you sign that petition?
Crazy.
That's right.
Right? Like, I need to talk to you, and then to intimidate. Like, if that is not an example of voter intimidation, an example of how protecting your own body becomes a way to understand how you need to protect your own democracy, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, exactly. I always say there's always polling about how many people support abortion rights. And I always say, I don't give a damn how many people support abortion. It is up to us as an individual. If you are not the person in the situation, I don't want anyone weighing in on what I do with my body. But even beyond reproductive justice and actions, it is just the health. The actual health of women, and also, more importantly, the health of children. I saw this as a meme, and I don't mean to be insensitive to anything that happened, but when Donald Trump lied about babies being aborted, right, post-birth, someone posted a school shooting and said, this is what it looks like when babies are aborted after birth. And it's so true. If you care so much for children, care for actual children. Do something about these school shootings and stay the F word out of my uterus. You know, that's the bottom line to all these elections. I didn't have a question. That was my comment. I yield the floor to the good gentle lady from the West Coast.
No, but I think that's right. I mean, I think it's like there are all these people who are out there in the vein of like pro-life as their banner, but like, no, you're really just pro-birth. Because once we're here, what are you actually doing?
Are they even pro-birth? Look at all the maternal health disparities.
Right. Maternal mortality. Look at infant mortality. Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
In the same states that have banned abortion, same states that have the highest maternal mortality rates, the highest infant mortality rates. So clearly you're not doing anything to save us. And they're also, by the way, the same states that have declined billions of dollars of health care under the ACA, right? So much resource that could be going to actually saving communities. And they're like, no, we're okay. We're willing to let all of you go.
I know we've got to push soon, but I wanted to ask you, as we look prospectively toward the future, beyond November 5th, assuming it goes the way we all will work and want it to, on the reproductive health agenda, do you think there is a chance we can get codification through law, the Congress, the U.S. House, and the U.S. Senate, that hopefully precludes this mess from happening again?
That is the whole ball game, Andrew, right? It is all about getting a reproductive freedom majority. It is about ensuring that we have reproductive freedom champions up and down the ballot, because when we do, we have the opportunity to get federal legislation that will restore the protections of reproductive freedom. And so there should be no world where if you live in Florida or you live in Texas, that you don't have the same rights that you do in Washington, D.C. and New York and California and Illinois.
Yeah.
Right? And what we have right now is a bifurcated system where if you were born in a certain zip code, you are being held hostage. You can't necessarily even travel out of state, and you may be forced into pregnancy. So many politicians this cycle are talking about things like exceptions. Right? They're saying like, oh, I support reproductive freedom, or I don't support it, but I will in these certain circumstances. Just look at the matters of rape and incest. There were 26,000 examples of rape and incest in Texas alone. Forced pregnancies. 26,000 of forced pregnancies due to rape and incest.
Oh my God.
60,000 overall, but a third actually happened in Texas.
Wow.
So when you talk about free states and non-free states.
Right.
That's true.
And so what federal legislation
Governor Abbott
does.
and Senator Ted Cruz.
And
yes.
AG Paxton. So like literally what we are fighting for is to ensure that wherever you live, you get access to the health care you need. And that should just be a fundamental American right.
While we've been sitting here, former Congressman Ed Towns just walked by. I was just waving at you, Congressman. Good to see you. Absolutely. I want to thank you, Alexis, not only for your advocacy. You're fighting every day, the fights we know about, the fights we do not. We thank you. And I also want to especially thank you for being a partner of this podcast.
Thank you.
We thank God for you. And we thank God we've known you for a very long time.
We have known each other for a very long time. And I just want to say, with the moment of privilege, how proud I am of all of you all for misinformation is such a real challenge in a world where we can't control the way information is disseminated.
True.
And the way you show up every day and you break it down flawlessly and brilliantly and just to the point and make it plain for the people. Like, that's what gives me so much joy, because I know I can trust everything I'm hearing from you because I know you've lived it. It's your experience. You know it because you can find it out. And you're all brilliant in what you do. So thank you.
Thank you. We love you. You look amazing. Enjoy the dinner. We'll see you there shortly.
Occasion.
We're almost on our way to dinner.
Somebody failed.
Did Andrew just knock somebody out?